Alright guys, so I finally finished my YouTube suggests, and the vlog's a bit of a mess if I'm being honest. It's edited for the most part, but there's chunks missing, so I got my list and I'm gonna try to smooth out some of those points now. But within this chaos, there's some nuggets of gold. So let's get on to the first book, which by the way, this took me 6 months to put together, which is why this is such a mess. But the first book I read was recommended to me by Kate's Book Date and Books and Lala and Bookables. So I've got 3 suggestions for this book from their 2020 best reads, and that is The Night Swim by I think it's Megan Golding. It's been so long since I've read it, and I really liked it. So let's go see what happens in the vloggy bit. Hey guys, a quick clip of me on my break at work. So I started Night Swim, and I did not know it was about a rape case, especially since another book that I'm currently reading, which is not for my YouTube thing, but for my Instagram challenge, had a rape scene in chapter 2 and implied kidnapping for rape in chapter 3. And I knew that it was going to be dark, but fuck, why right now, all the rape? I don't. So I'm going to give Night Swim a few more chapters before I decide whether or not I'm going to stick with it or not. It's just, so far it doesn't sound like my thing. Like, thrillers aren't my thing to begin with, so yeah, there's my update. So I just finished The Night Swim, and I've been very bad at vlogging this. Okay, so let me give you my midway through this. I was really struggling. I was like at 40% before it started to like get me, and not in the sense like I've understood the whole time the importance of a story like this. I didn't really get the thriller bit of it until the end, but around between 40 and 60% is when I was like, all right, I can get through this and I'm going to do my best to enjoy it. But here is what happened, not in the book, but here's what happened in my reading experience. I thought about what was alluded to a lot of the time in this via the rapes that happened, the multiple rapes that happened. And there was just enough detail that we knew what she was talking about without her having to explicitly like detail things. And I thought that was brilliant. The juxtaposition between the present case of bringing a young man to court to try him for rape, and the victim versus the perpetrator scenario was well done. I mean, that's the whole point of telling the story, is to showcase how terrible the justice system is with this thing, because it is a he said, she said thing. I don't want to get into that, but that's what's being portrayed here. Versus the rape and murder that happened, gang rape, beating, and murder, that happened in the past, 25 years in the past, and how they both came to the conclusion, and then the conclusion, I knew it was coming, and that bothers me a little bit. I knew what was happening, so yes. I'll give you my full wrap-up here in a little bit, but I just finished it. Yeah. Alright, book number 2 is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Hey guys, next to my messy bed again. And I just wanted to update you on my YouTube recommendation challenge. I am like 90% of the way through Red Rising. I haven't talked to you guys about this at all while I've been reading it, which is really, really bad because I really loved the first part of it. Really hated the second part of it. I keep going back and forth between being yes, and I just want to stop reading this book. Even if it weren't for the challenge, I would still read this book because it's one of my favorite booktubers' recommendations. This girl right here, Casey from Lost in a Bookcase, and I love dystopian, and I love a lot of the themes in it, and a lot of the character reminds me of my husband, which is always a good thing for me because I love my husband, obviously. I love characters like my husband, and I know it's supposed to like make me angry, and I think that's pretty much what it's doing, which is why I haven't DNF'd it at all. I'm gonna give it to the end to decide how I feel about it, to decide if I'm gonna keep with the series or not, but I can't really make up my mind right now on how I feel about it. Obviously at 10% left to go, which is maybe less than that now. I think I have a little bit over an hour left of the audiobook, and I don't know. Corrupt politics, man. Gets me every time. I love it and I hate it. I love it and I hate it. I love it and I hate it. To wrap up a little bit of how I felt, I did really like the book. I gave it a 4. I do kind of want to see what happens, but there was just so much of this anger in me from this book of things that I would have done differently, but it wouldn't have made the tension as good. Like I get why everything happened, but it just still made me so angry. It just still made me so angry throughout. And I think it's supposed to. It is satire. Satire is supposed to make you upset about things. So yeah, it's a pretty good recommendation. I also, by the way, just downloaded The Empress of Salt and Fortune, which is the book recommendation I am reading from Books and Lala, Kayla. I usually like the books she suggests. I usually like the books that she suggests. So that's short. So I'm gonna try to sneak it in this month and be happy about that. It was on my TBR as an alternate. I did read the other book and 2 more in that series of that book. So I've read a lot more than I've really needed to, but it's 112 pages. I can do that. I can do that. Okay. Anyways, there is my YouTube recommendation update for now. I will see you guys in a little bit when I start my next book or finish the one I'm on. I don't know which is happening first, so we'll see. Alright, see you in a bit.
But I think this needs to be finished now. Soon. The star charts ranged in quality from simple market scratches on elderly trash paper to beautifully elegant scrolls that described the heavens and their effect on those below in intense detail. G took a second glance at the ones related to their own birth sign, the spoon, and was variously amused and impatient by turns to find predictions of varying accuracy. They had indeed come far from where they began in the foothills of Wasui, but they were hardly going to be called demure, maidenly, or docile.
Alright, and as you guys know, I also was reading The Empress of Salt and Fortune, and this was recommended by Books and Lala again. This is like my official recommendation from her that I chose. You'll get to see a little snippet of me listening to it. I found it on YouTube to listen to because it was just faster for me to listen to books. And I really, really liked it. Like, I want to read the next one. I can't wait for the next one. There was so much female empowerment, but still all of those things that are negatively influenced on females. And I feel like a lot of literature is doing that right now. A lot of books are doing that right now. And I appreciate it, but at the same time kind of over it. But this was done really well. Like, I really liked this one. And that's just from like current reading and the current things I've been into. This was a while ago that I read it, and the character stuck out to me. That poor queen. I'm looking forward to what daughter does with this world. So my next recommendation was The Bear and the Nightingale, and there was a few who recommended this to me. So The Bear and the Nightingale, I put a few people on it. Becca in the Books was one of them, and JD Reads was another, because they both recommended The Girl in the Tower, and I really wanted to read that, but that was book 2, so I had to read the first one. And my initial response to this was fair, but once we got like an hour or 2 into it, I was like, can we just get past this bullshit? Like, I knew what was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen through the whole thing, and it really just pissed me off. For the most part, it just pissed me off. And I'm sure you're going to hear me rant about that, so yeah, you are. So I was just saying, listening to The Bear and the Nightingale on audiobook, I have been frustrated most of the time in this book so far, except for when Frost is there. So I've been expecting Frost to be back and to get away from this Christian bullshit, overtaking pagan stuff, which I know is the point of the book. I know it is. To make it Frost. And then it's more targeting this young lady and waiting for Frost. If Frost doesn't show up again soon and like stay a steady part of the story, I might DNF this. That's how I'm feeling right now. Lots of issues we'll talk about in a bit. It's time to go eat. I just got off work. Hence, shower. Yep. Alright, let's go. How very frustrating this book is. 75% of the way through, and I'm still pissed off through all of it. Where the fuck's Frost? I've only got 3 hours left. I may as well finish it, but fuck. I want to like it, but I don't. I want to like it, but I don't. Okay, so I finally finished reading The Bear and the Nightingale. The last hour and a half, I really, really liked, because Frost was in it, right? So like, there's this, I wanted so much more of him, and so much less of the bullshit. All of the Christian pagan fighting things, which I know is part of the point. I know that. But we didn't need so much of all of the shit happening to her over and over and over again. I was just sick of it. And I wanted her to have her ally that was promised to us the whole time. So, was the last hour and a half worth the first 13 and a half hours of this book? I really don't know. I'm on the fence, which is why I gave it a 3. I kind of want to try book 2. I kind of really don't want to try book 2, but we'll see. I don't know. It's still on my wish list, so it might happen anyways. Alright guys, let's get on to my next book. What is my next book? Ready Player One, I think, is my next book. Yeah, okay. let's get on to it then. So book number 5 is going to be Ready Player One, and this was recommended by Noelle Gallagher. I do want to read the other recommendation I have on my list, but I only try to choose at least one from each of the people that I read normally, or each of the people that I watch on YouTube in some kind of fair regularity. And since I have watched a whole bunch of hers when I started this, as one I chose, I also want to read the Kiss Quotient that she recommended, so we'll get there eventually, and I'll let you know how that one is, because let's just go into this one. Okay, y'all, so I'm like 25% of the way through Ready Player One, and I'm fucking bored. Yep, that's about where I am right now. We're about to start Gideon the Ninth, so let's see how that goes. So book number 6 is Gideon and the Ninth, and that was recommended by Pursue Project. I like her vlogs. I like a lot of the taste that she has in general, so I'm really hoping good things for this because it sounded really freaking cool. Let me just say how utter fuckingly bored I am of my current YouTube suggestions. Unfortunately, both of the ones that I'm reading right now, Gideon and the Ninth, or Gideon the Ninth, and Ready Player One, I'm just like, so yeah. Time to go pick up the sun. Hey guys, so I finished reading Ready Player One. It wasn't that interesting. I don't know if quests are for me. There's a lot of 80s stuff that I just didn't understand, and as somebody who grew up in the 80s, it's probably saying something about me. I'm not a video game person either, and so again, that might say something about me, but as I was explaining it to my husband, it was so funny because I'm like, you know, it has this, and this was interesting because I remember you talking about it from your childhood, and he's like, I'd probably like that book. I'm like, yeah, you probably would. But I was bored until about 90% of the way through the book. So there's that. I've also gotten halfway through Getting the Ninth, about 15% of the way through of the ebook. I was ready to quit. I was skimming, found the audiobook. I'm now halfway through it, and I'm like, I'm kind of bored. I'm gonna give it a little bit longer. I really want to DNF it. We'll see. I'll give you my thoughts when I decide on if I DNF it or not. A really interesting character, really interesting concept and world building, but I'm bored. There's quite a few writing style issues as well, and I know it's an Australian author, so like commas was an issue for me actually reading it. A disconnect between the character like dialogue and her narration. There's a few head hopping moments that I don't know were intentional. I don't find it believable. As interesting as Gideon is. So yeah. Hey guys, so I've been trying to make it all the way through these books, and I had an audiobook available to me free online, but it got taken down, so I don't think I'm gonna finish Gideon the Ninth. I can't read it. I can't physically read it. The world sounds really cool. The characters sound really cool. The idea sounds really cool. The plot kind of sucks. The writing kind of sucks. And I just can't do it. There's too many pet peeves that pop up in this book. Like how something smells acid and cold. I'm like, does it smell of acid? Does it smell acidy? It can't smell acid and cold. Like you're missing a word or something here. And it happens a lot. So the narrator was doing a really good job of keeping me like going and not completely drifting off during the audiobook. But I don't even know where the romance is. I'm 44% of the way through this. I'm pretty sure the romance is supposed to be between Gideon and Harrow, and this Griddle nickname. Like really? Gideon has great voice. It doesn't translate into the rest of the book, and that really sucks. There's some POV issues sometimes, and I'm not into it. I don't think it's a very good book, and I understand it's the author's first book. My problem isn't so much the author, it's the editor didn't catch a lot of the issues that are in the book. That's what an editor should do. If only I could get my hands on it and make it better. But I can't. It's not my book. I'm not paid to do this. Like, I'm putting it down at 44%. I couldn't finish it, guys. Maybe if the audiobook becomes available in my library or somewhere else for me to read, I might give it another try. But for now, I'm done with it. So, sorry. It's gonna be fun to talk about in my wrap up of this. Okay, there you go. I DNF'd Gideon the Ninth. So my 7th book is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, and this was recommended to me by Paige Reads and Writes, and I really love her vlog. She's super cute Australian girl, and Alex is a lot, but we'll get to that. I did really like the premise of this, so we'll see what happens there. This is such a great angle, oh my god. Okay, so I'm waiting at work. I just started Red, White, and Royal Blue. I can't do this. Alright, so my first initial thoughts on it was that it is way too much. But I started to get used to the character. Alex is something else. I love Henry. I'm getting into the story. I'm probably about 40% of the way through it, and I just started it yesterday, but I was sitting at the VA hospital for hours yesterday, so that makes sense that I was able to get that far and I listened to it during dinner. But, oh my god. How could, I'm not sure how anybody could believe this guy wasn't, into dudes. The way his personality was very obviously, from the way he was written, to be gay. So, I don't know if that's just me not understanding, or I don't know. But something that I really, really liked was when he was realizing that he was bi, and he liked dudes. It was so well done and so well handled, and I feel like so many people could connect with it. Now, being somebody who's always known that I've liked girls, and boys, that I didn't really have that connection, but I saw it there, the people really get it. But I grew up in a very understanding family and loving situation and very accepting, bubble. Very spoiled and lucky person with my family. So I just wanted to come in and say that. I'll have fuller thoughts later, but I didn't think I was going to like it, and I'm starting to like it. So yeah, okay, I'm going to go back to reading before I have to go to work, because I have 7 minutes till work starts. Yay, for 4:23 in the morning. I'm going to be happy when I don't have to do this anymore. So, I don't remember whose suggestion it was to read Beach Read by Emily Henry, but I started it this morning, and I just finished it. This was an audiobook. I could not pause it for very long. I started it while I was making my lunch for work. It is now 3 o'clock in the afternoon at work, and I've not been doing anything else. I did a little bit of video stuff. I sent an email, and I filled out a worksheet. And I read this book. It made me cry, it made me laugh. I really liked it. I found an author I'm gonna have to read more from, because I loved Gus. I loved January. I really loved Gus though. I don't know. I keep thinking back to some of the points of his reveals of how he felt about her and redefining some of her memories of him. And I loved it. Holy crap. Okay, so whoever suggested it, I'll put that up here and I'll give more of my thoughts later. But oh my god, I'm gonna have to read more of your suggestions. Okay, on that note, we'll pause right now because I literally just finished that book. So I'm gonna have time to think about it. And yeah, good suggestion. Real quick, while I'm on my way to work, I am 24% of the way into The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, and it is just what I want to read right now. Because the thing I was reading before this really pissed me off. So, yes, liking it, very sad, ready for it to break my heart. Let's go. So I am an hour off from finishing Eddie LaRue, and just like I thought it was going to, it's breaking my heart. I got tears in my eyes when I called it with one of the characters, but I have another theory, and yep, it's gonna break my heart today. Yep, okay. So I finished reading Eddie LaRue, The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, and I sobbed some more. I was in the shower, so it worked, but the ending made me far more happy than I thought it was going to. So I wasn't quite so, I was devastated, but I wasn't quite so devastated because, yeah, I liked it. So, yes, to the people who suggested Eddie LaRue, I really need to get my shit together and figure out whose suggestions these were. Honestly, y'all, Eddie LaRue has been suggested by a lot of booktubers. So many readers, in fact, that I did not write it down. So it is so highly suggested throughout YouTube. I'm sure I can litter in some profile pics over here of who suggested it, but thank you. Yes to V.E. Schwab. I'm gonna have to go read more of her stuff now. Yep. So I've not been doing very well in updating this guy, but I am currently reading Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I don't know if I've said anything about it yet. However, I was interested from the go. It took me a little while to just get into it and get to the point where I needed to keep coming back to it because it's not readily accessible on my Libby app. I've been watching it on YouTube or listening to it on YouTube, and it's at the point halfway through that I'm like, all right, I need to get back to that. I need to get back to that. Which is usually what happens to me, is that's the point in time where I'm like really into the book. So I am. I like the characters. I like the situation. I like the tension. I'm ready to keep going. So far so good. I'm gonna go back to making breakfast. I forgot to tell you guys how I felt about Six of Crows and who suggested to me, which was the Irish Reader. Frickin' love his videos. He's so adorable. But I really, really liked the Six of Crows. It left on a cliffhanger. Like, oh my fucking shit. I have to read book 2. I have to keep going, see where everybody totes Lee Bardugo, and oh guys. Okay, I liked the romances, I liked the violence, I liked that nothing fucking went right. And I do have a full wrap up of this in my restrictive wrap up for last month, but oh my god, it was pretty awesome. So good choice. All right, on to the stats. Okay, so I probably should have done a lot more stats for preparation, but let's look at how many books that I read from these recommendations. So I read 10 books for this, which is pretty good for the challenge. Of these books, the ones that I really, really liked, aka was a 3.5 or higher, I want to say, we had The Night Swim, we had Red, White, and Royal Blue, Empress Assault and Fortune, Red Rising was on there, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was on there, Beach Read was on there, and Six of Crows was on there. So I liked 7 out of 10 of them, so I think we did pretty well. The ones that I didn't like, you're going up here in a little bit of shame, and I'm sorry to shame you for it. It's just the ones I chose that I got to read from your recommendations just didn't match with me, and so I will try other recommendations you have in the future. No worries, I'm not trying to call you out too completely. But anyways, let's put up how many books, what the categories were, what my pages read and listened to were, just so that you can see what we're going with and what genres I had. And anyways, I hope this was entertaining to you as much chaos as it was. Thank you for watching, guys, and please recommend me something to read in the comments below that you'll think I'll like way better than the ones that I read this time. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye!